Thank you so much for joining. It really does mean a lot to me, so thanks. Just a couple of things. First, about recuperation. It has been such a piece of cake that I've taken up baking and cake decorating. Aren't I good at this? Okay, everybody knows better. I have something this awesome, must mean that somebody wonderful gave it to me. That's exactly what happened. Honestly, the recuperation last week was honestly just awful. I had so much foot and ankle pain for 6 days. I couldn't even walk. It had nothing to do. I didn't know how bad my knee did or didn't hurt. I couldn't even feel it. And I got really, really discouraged. I did. But I'm making progress. The surgeon gave me some things to help with that. And man, I feel like I'm finally on my way back. I'm so relieved. And it's still pain, but this is doable. And I'm trying to push through the pain at a good level and not do something really stupid. I just want to be back so much. So again, thanks for your prayers and support. And this weekend, we'll do a blessing at each of our masses for our college kids and graduate students as they get ready to head off. May God bless them, and may God bless all who are getting ready for a new school year, teachers, administrators, parents, and kids alike. May this year just deepen the best in all of our young folks. Now to the homily. I'm going to talk a bit about this first reading in particular, where the Israelites are wandering in the desert. We get a little bit of an insight into what they think of this. Our gospel question is, do you travel well? Thanks for joining. It strikes me that there might be one sentence missing from today's first reading. And I know, who am I to think I know what's wrong with the Bible, right? But the Israelites had been wandering for some 40 years in the desert. So it sure seems likely to me that Moses, their leader, must have heard this question, a question pretty much every parent who's ever traveled with a child has heard. Are we there yet? Perhaps some of them even said it this way. Holy Moses, are we there yet? See what I did there? Anyway, traveling is not always easy. Some travel better than others. And certainly for the Israelites, by this time on the journey, they are getting pretty crabby. Now, they had asked to be freed from slavery. At least some of them asked that. And they miraculously were. And then they asked, we don't have enough to eat, we want bread. And God gave them manna. And then they decided, but yeah, we want meat too. And God gave them quail. Yeah, but we need more water. And God brought water from the rock. And still, it wasn't long before some of them were saying, yeah, we had it better back in the day, forgetting how awful it was to be enslaved by the Egyptians. Their journey was certainly hard, and they certainly were finding plenty to complain about. Maybe as you and I make our way through our days, we aren't so different. Certainly the journey of life is hard. We face, setbacks at work or in anything, tensions, heartache in our families, loneliness at school, struggles in relationship. Sometimes there's so much disillusionment, so much suffering. Life is hard, and we wonder, why aren't we there yet? We tend to think that the journey to the promised land, with some difficulty, should at least be moderately easy, right? But read through the scriptures and notice that God never promised that. And we forget in how often and how many different ways Jesus said, life is hard, you'll suffer. Jesus was clear about that. And today, he refuses to meet the expectations of those who were looking for a quick fix, for comfort food, so to speak. He was saying, I'm the bread of life. Live my way. That's what I offer you. It's a difficult path to life. But no, I cannot and I will not make everything easy and fulfill your every physical need. Jesus never promises that. What he does promise is our daily bread. He promises that we will have what we need along the way, sufficient blessings, our daily bread. But what happens is that often when our daily bread comes, it doesn't look quite like we thought or hoped, so we don't recognize it. The word manna in the first reading literally means, what is this, right? The Israelites didn't even recognize the bread from heaven as the food they had been asking for. What is it? It's the answer to your prayer. It just didn't come looking the way you thought it would look. I think that often that's exactly what happens with us, because like the Israelites, we focus on the promised land out there and what our daily bread should look like. We miss the blessings when they come. And we each have to learn to see that the journey itself is the thing, Trusting that our daily bread will come, but training ourselves to remember that it's not likely going to look quite the way we thought it should. For you, for me, this is our life now. Life does not start when we get to the promised land. For me, in part now, that's the challenge with my knee and then my ankle, my foot right now. My life doesn't just start when it doesn't hurt so much and I can do more stuff. But now, somehow at least, And so for each of us, this day, whatever mixture of heartache and hope, this is it, This day, with its disappointments and delights, its love and its losses, this is our life. And the journey itself is what matters above all else. Let me tell you of a young man I knew who was training for the Olympics years ago. I told a few of you this. He was a phenomenal athlete, naturally gifted. He also worked his tail off. And I asked him what his training regimen was like and what it was like to be him through that. And he said, sometimes I would get so jealous of my friends. Often I'd be up at 4:30, sometimes 3:30. I couldn't eat what they ate. I couldn't do a lot of what they did. I missed a number of family vacations. I spent hours upon hours of often lonely training. And I said, well, how do you cope with that, right? With the challenges, the setbacks, the daily grind? He said, everyone says, keep your eyes on the finish line. Then he said, but Father Joe, I'm telling you, it can't be just that. It can't be just keeping your eye on the finish line. He said, I know how many never get there. The hundreds and thousands of athletes like me who've trained like I've trained, worked like I've worked, who've had families who sacrificed like mine did, and never get there. Their time wasn't just quite good enough, or they blew out a shoulder or a knee on the way. And then he said, and let me read word for word what he said, you have to find something along the way. That you are a person, not just an athlete. He kind of said off to the side for a second, he goes, the victory lane and the finish line don't come for us all. He says, you've got to learn that your life matters now. I've thought about that a lot. This kid didn't make it to the Olympics. His time wasn't good enough. He was close. And though he was, of course, greatly disappointed, he's also okay. It's because he knew the truth, that it's not all and only about the finish line, but about the journey itself and about being a person along the way. You know, perhaps for some of us, the finish line, the promised land, the dream of what could be, might help us keep going. That's all right. It's good. But the challenge of each of our lives is also to live the journey itself, the struggle to be open to love and the daily blessings along the way. Because if we're not careful, we'll look so hard for the grace of finally being done, that we will complain and grumble about the hardships of the journey, and we'll miss the daily bread of the countless blessings woven along the way. Yep, I could really imagine the Israelites complaining, are we there yet? For us, since what matters most is the journey itself, for you, for me, the answer to the question, are we there yet, is yes. Yes, we are.